And if you look at a lot of the companies who have had issues in Jamaica now, you can pinpoint it to October 2021, where you had the issues with, where they had issues with debt financing, with refinancing of facilities. I think they couldn't pay with the higher interest rates anymore, and they were just general challenges. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of that's the genesis of all of that.
I
So a lot
see.
of them were like highly leveraged.
Yeah, we've spoken about a few on the podcast too, like even NCB. Although
All of them.
NCB's problems were a bit before that, but it was also during that time where a lot of debt was due, and he tried to kick the can down the road. And look where we are now. I mean, granted, he's pulled the rabbit out the hat. That's something Preston and I were saying on the podcast. Like, he found the money, He found. So yes, you have about 200 mil left to find.
Still more money. As I say,
Yeah,
there's still more money.
over time, there's still definitely more money, but he's found the money, so he's lived to see another day, which is quite exciting to see on the market. Like I love talking about things like this because to me it seems like a movie, like Succession or something. So yeah.
I would love to know where that money came from, but I'll just say that I'm very happy for the bondholders.
Mm-hmm.
I think an injection of 15 billion, it will go a long way to helping to make some people whole. So I'm very happy about that. I think there's a lot more to that story. But for me, I want the best for NCB. It's no secret we were buying NCB in the teens and 20s and sold at 200 for the most part in terms of significant holdings. And that was a very good, and that's not just for me talking, and not for me, for clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy about that because that opened or exposed or created new wealth for a lot of people. So I also think NCB is a very good example of what's possible in Jamaica. So I want the best for them. But it's no secret that there's a lot of distressed debt there that
Yeah.
they'll have to figure out. So let's see how it goes. With the ownership level, anyway. I'm not aware of the operating entity.
So what do you think made you sell back then when it was around 200?
200.
Can I tell you? We had profits of about 900%. At that level, you're looking for a reason to sell, right? You're not really, you can't really get greedy and be like, you need a reason to stay as opposed to selling. I remember we had a lot, like we had about 1 million units to sell. So I sold because I heard about the commercial banking ratios being a little off. And I said, I'm going to come out of this. That's all. I mean, granted, the boss, Sagicor and Scotia, we lost some of it, but nevertheless, we're still operating from a much higher base, and then we still preserved it because then we went into Trans Jamaica and made a mint there and blah, 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 blah. So it wasn't all lost, but it's still a lot different if you're dealing with a person who started with like 20 grand and then now have 200,000 as a result of one stock,
Yeah.
So that was the thinking behind it. Nothing else. That's as simple as that. Nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it sounds like if someone was just to come to investing now and they've been hearing about all of this NCB stuff and you would tell them, at one point NCB was $200 and people were probably even saying, certain people were saying, it was probably undervalued then. And they're saying, it was going to go to 250, it's going to go to 300. That probably sounds crazy to that person now. But it's so different when you're actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're there, it's different.
Yeah, but when you have proceeds and cash in it, it's a lot. It's a different dynamic. And I actually thought it was going to like $1,000 because my belief was they were eventually going to list on a foreign market. But when I started to hear about the ratios and all that, I said, well, if it goes to 1,000, great, but it's going to have to miss me because I can't afford to have all these people lose out on the profits they have made, having diligently invested in it. This was like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
2015, and we sold in 2019. Yeah, 4 years prior. We just we couldn't take that chance, to be honest. So that's really all it was. I mean, it was no complication. I didn't sit down and do no analysis past that point, because in the end, like, you can do all the analysis, but you're still gonna have to wait to see what the results come out looking like. I was
Yeah.
very bullish in the Guardian acquisition. One of the things, though, and I'll say this, based on how banks report their financials, it is extremely difficult to value them, because you can see the cash in a bank account on the balance sheet and all, but then is what's treasury cash as opposed to what is client holdings, client deposits. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always as is simple to figure it out. And there's actually something that somebody pointed me to. The Deutsche Bank is trading at book value now for the first time since 2008. So now you can't even say globally that all financial institutions trade at book value, so you can then apply that to Jamaica, because you just can't. So maybe the standard could be, well, banks should trade at 50 cents to the book value, to every dollar of book value. We don't know, like half the book value. So because of all of that, and the lack of familiarity, for me, it was very easy to come out profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Very, very easy.